really should have chose another one. This picture was taken by Jake Stevenson. And him and Chad are up there at Kentucky, and this is what's called the Ark Encounter. Brother Higley and Connie, did y'all go there? Has anybody been there? Okay, Brother Bill. Okay, very good. And Connie?
We didn't see the Ark.
Oh, you've been up to the museum. Okay.
We were there before the Ark.
Okay, well, in my house, I looked at my rain gauge, 5 inches of rain today. So that's we were looking for an ark, okay? Does anybody know if anybody did get some damage or hurt in the storms? Anybody? Okay. All right. Well, I should have picked the song, the Lord's my rock, in him I hide, a shelter in the time of storm. I should have, because my wife and I were in our home together, sheltering in, and that's not a joke. It's pretty serious stuff. So I don't know if you know this or not, but our good guy in Atlanta, Glenn Burns, said that the storm that just came through here, when it was in Alabama, had 4-inch size hail. That's called softball size hail. It's also called a lot of damage on things that it hits, okay? So I say all of that to say, Chad is spending some time up there, and I'm sure he's going to have a lot of really interesting stories to share. And I appreciate Brother Jake taking that picture and making it available for me to share with you. But I want to talk about tonight, God give us Christian homes. I was hoping to get out ahead of time and get some folks to read some passages, but I will be calling on several men to read, so just expect me to call on you. Matter of fact, let's save a little time. Take care of that right now. And while I'm doing that, would everybody turn to 553 in your songbook? 553. All right, I'm going to need Alan to read Genesis 1, 27 and 28. I'm going to need Brother Robert to read Ephesians 6, verse 4. I'm going to need Brother Martin to read 2 Peter 3, 18. I'm going to need Brother Chris to read Genesis 2, 23 through 25. Genesis 2, 23 through 25. 1 Corinthians 10, 26. Michael, you want to read that for me? 1 Corinthians 10, 26. And do we have Adam? Thank you for volunteering. Philippians 4 and verse 19. Brother Bill, 2 Kings chapter 20, I think it's verse 8. 2 Kings chapter 20, I think it's verse 8. When we get there, we'll talk about it. All right. We're ready to get started because I always have trouble getting done. $553 in your songbook, if everybody would take a look at that song. God give us what? Christian homes. Now, home. Home is where the heart is. How many songs have been written about home? How many poems have been written about home? Okay, how many of y'all been in the military? Okay, home, going back home. Man, there is nothing like it. We've been away from home. We have college students that are talking about college or come back home. Men who've been out on business. We got Gary, who's out probably, like forever here with all of the storm damage, and he'll be coming back home. Home. But just not any home. Now, we like home. Not any home. What kind of home? We're talking about a Christian home. Now, what makes a Christian home different? Say that again? God-centered or Christ-centered. I forgot my little visual aid tonight, but that's okay. So, biblical authority. What does nurture mean? Caring for, okay? Nurturing. There's a lot to that word. Loving acceptance. Scriptural truth. Notice that's on the foundation. I always hear in our society, you need to accept people, you need to tolerate people. Matter of fact, I hear it so much I really can't tolerate hearing that much anymore. But anyway, you never hear like rules, truth that goes along with that. We're talking about a combination of scriptural truth and this idea of loving acceptance. Folks, do we do wrong? We need to be admonished when we do wrong. It's the only way that we could know what is right. So a Christian home is different. Okay, 553. If everybody would turn there, and I'll try to as well. Now, you will not make me feel bad if you're in the back and you want to move up in the front. You will not hurt my feelings, okay? God give us Christian homes. Let me do this. Let me sing solo the first two parts here, the first two verses, not the two verses, but the first two lines. And then we'll go back to the beginning. So I'd like to sing this song. Here we go. God give us Christian homes, homes where the Bible is loved and taught. Okay. All right, so we already have some folks already ready to sing this song. So together, let's sing this song. God give us Christian homes, homes where the Bible is loved and taught, homes where the Master's will is sought, homes crowned with beauty thy love impart. God give us Christian homes. God give us Christian homes. Now, if it sounds a little hard, it's because it is. It's in one of these vulnerable pitches that we all struggle with. We're going to try it again, second verse. God give us Christian homes, homes where the Bible is loved. I'm sorry, second verse. Homes where the Father is true and strong, homes that are free from the blight of wrong, homes that are joyous with love and song. God give us Christian homes. God give us Christian homes. Third verse. God give us Christian homes, homes where the mother in queenly quest strives to show others thy way is best, homes where the Lord is an honored guest. God give us Christian homes. God give us Christian homes. Last verse. God give us Christian homes, homes where the children are led to know Christ in his beauty who loves them so. Homes where the altar fires burn and glow. God give us Christian homes. God give us Christian homes. I want to thank you for enduring that presentation of that song. But other than the singing and the pitch and all of that, what y'all think of those words? What were the four things? What was the first verse about? Yeah, because I read it like 2.5 times, okay? What was the second verse about? Fathers. And fathers are strong, right? What was the next one about? Mothers, okay? The mother's influence in the home. And then the last? Okay, all right, very good. All right, so I have some simple questions. By the way, that was the author of the song. I thought you'd find that interesting. Brother Tim, would you please read those questions one at a time?
Why a Christian home?
Okay?
Repetitive, go ahead. Where can I find one? Who can give us one? What does it look like? How can we have one? What are some practical steps?
Do y'all think those are good questions? Okay, I know that was a leading question right there, but is there a question that you thought is really nails it? Why? All right, so let's talk about this for a second. Let's talk about the why. So if everybody would, why a Christian home? Genesis 1, 27 and 28.
So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and subdue it. Have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves on the earth.
Was this before the ark? Okay. How far from the beginning of creation was that statement that what he talked about happened? Right at the beginning of creation. How far back does man go, male and female? All the way back to the beginning. That's what Jesus said. Man is a sexual being, okay? And the home, marriage, is the glue. How important, where can we find the origin of marriage? Right at that spot, right where he read, okay? All right, very good. So the home is made for marriage. What about a place of nurture? Ephesians 6 and verse 4.
And ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord.
Okay, who's a father here? Who's a father? Okay, have you ever provoked your children to anger? Probably, okay, but we know not to do that. He says, don't provoke them, but what? Does bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. Does that just mean speak kindly to them all the time? Does that mean just let them have their way all the time? What does that mean? That is exactly right. The nurture and discipline. Discipline in what path? God's way, God's path. Why have a Christian home? It's a safe place to grow. 2 Peter 3:18. But grow in the what? Okay, has anybody ever planted a garden or grew any plant? What happens if you take a plant and it's starting to grow and you move it from this planter to this planter? What do you do if you take it from the garden and put it into a planter? Then next week you put it back. What happens to the growth of that plant? Now, let me ask you a question. When children move around from one location, one parent to another, to this, that, and the other, and all of that, does the same thing happen to them? God give us Christian homes, a home where that nurture and that growth can happen. All right, Brother Allen, I think it was, he said that Christ is the center of the home. May I ask a question? Who is the center of history? Who is the center of creation? Who is the center of the Word of God? Who is the center or the head of the church? That's pretty profound. I mean, just think about that all in and of itself. Now, that is an actual picture of a throne, probably cost a whole lot of money. But you know what I'm asking? What am I asking? What am I asking with this picture? Not do we have chairs in a home like that, okay? Who's sitting on the throne of your home? correct? Okay, should it be the man? I'm the man in my house. You know, I'm the head of my house and I have my wife's permission to say so. Or like, I'm the head of the house and I run my house. I run my house. The washing machine, the lawnmower, the vacuum cleaner. Now, all joking aside, my question is this. Who is on the throne of your house? Who should be? Well, according to the culture, it should be the woman. She should be running everything. I mean, that's what the culture is saying. Christ should be in the head. Matter of fact, Christ should be the center of our entire understanding of life. Christ should be at the center of our whole educational institution. Christ should be at the center of a man and a woman that are dating, a man and a woman that have been married. Now, someone says, well, I know some people that have good marriages and they don't go to church. Yeah, probably what they're doing is they're using Christian principles without knowing it. So the question is Christ the center? And when Christ is the center, our life comes into a clearer focus for our purpose and how we may serve other people. So that's a little bit of the why God gave us Christian home. Now, the Bible says that Jesus is the chief cornerstone. Who here ever built anything? Okay, now in old time when you build the building, you've got to start with the cornerstone, right? So according to this, our lives, Jesus Christ is the what? Cornerstone, and we build around it. Now let me ask you a question, and I'm just curious. The Hollywood crowd that make a lot of movies, do they begin with whatever we do, we want to honor Christ in what we're doing? The people that are involved in politics, before they even open up a session or talk about any kind of political speech, have you ever heard them say, before I do anything, I want to honor Christ, and here we go? I mean, can you imagine if a president's wife or something like that just got in front of a crowd and started like reading Psalm 23? We would be flabbergasted, wouldn't we? By the way, didn't that happen? And the media was flabbergasted. That goes to show you we have some serious problems with the foundation. By the way, question, our country was founded on Roman law, A. B, our Christian was founded on Christian principles. Which one is it? Well, that's not what we're hearing, and that's not what we're taught in the public school and the university in most cases. Now, I'm not here to rail against the public school because I've done that enough. All right, enough said. But the family is one of these major things that come from that foundation. And the family is very, very important. Okay, so let's talk about from why to what does it look like. Well, here you go. This is my house. This is what it looks like. If you've been to my house, you know it looks like this. Okay? So that's what it looks like. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what does a Christian home look like? Can someone answer that question, please? What does a Christian home look like? One at a time. I know in the auditorium we're not used to talking out. I understand that. So it's... Okay, who was Sarah's husband? Did they have a godly home? Okay. Who was Shem, Ham, and Japheth's father? Noah. And Noah was what in his generation? Noah was righteous in his generation, right? We just talked about the ark, okay? And Noah found what in the eyes of the Lord? Okay, all right. So we have a couple good examples. Now let's look at some Bible texts. Let's go to Genesis 2, 23 through 25. Because we have a portrait or a picture of what a Christian home looks like. Even though we're going to the Old Testament, I think you understand what I'm talking about. Whoever has that, if you'd read it.
And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed.
All right. Okay, let's look at a passage in 2 Kings 20. Would everybody go to 2 Kings 20 for a second? I guess 2 Kings is after 1 Kings. 20. Okay, while we're turning there, Hezekiah, remember he was a king, and the Syrians were going to, was it the Syrians? I think they were going to run him over. And he prayed to God, and he was very, very thankful for that. Now, let's go down to verse 14. The prophet Isaiah came to Hezekiah. So 2 Kings 20, verse 14.
Then came Isaiah the prophet unto the king Hezekiah, and said unto him, What said these men, and from whence came they unto thee? Hezekiah said, They are come from a far country, even from Babylon.
And in verse 15, please.
And he said, What have they seen in thine house? And Hezekiah answered, All the things that are in mine house have they seen, and there is nothing among my treasures that I have not shown them.
Okay, now remember, this was a bad example. He wasn't supposed to show him all those things, but he did, right? Everybody with me? Okay. All right, how many here have had a member of the church, elder or anybody, visit your home in the last 6 months? Okay. You know what my question is? What's my question? What have they seen? Because even in a short visit, an elder's going to be able to pick up something on a family, correct? Okay? So that's the real deal. You know, sometimes they have what's called, I call this church property Christianity. You know someone has a church property Christianity mindset when they have like a Bible school booklet and they leave it in the church building. You know what I'm saying? They just leave it in the church building. Whereas you're supposed to be studying it what other days of the week? All the other 6 days of the week. Okay? So we're familiar with that idea. Let's go to Ephesians chapter 5. Ephesians chapter 5. Now, I am trying to work through this to get to the meat of the lesson, which is practical things. Practical things. How much time do I have? I can't hear you. 20 minutes. Okay, we're doing good. So Ephesians chapter 5. Folks, I have written in my Bible right here what I wrote down at Freed Hardeman when I was in the class by a guy by the name of Winford Claiborne. Anybody know who I'm talking about, Winford Claiborne? Do you remember his wife's name? Molly. How many times did you hear Molly and I? Okay. But anyway, Brother Claiborne, he was a marriage and family man, teacher. And he'd ask questions, and I'd embarrass myself really bad in front of the class because I would answer before I thought. Okay. And after a while, you learn not to do that if you have a little bit of sense to you. But here's what I wrote in my book, Bible. A Christian wife and a Christian husband. Isn't that neat? So let's do that. Do we have a volunteer want to start reading? In Ephesians 5, verse 22. You want to read? Okay, go ahead, nice and loud.
Wives, submit to your own husbands as to the Lord.
Keep going.
For the husband is head of the wife, as also Christ is head of the church, and he is the Savior of the body. Therefore, just as the church is subject to Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for her, that he might sanctify and cleanse her with the washing of water by the word, that he might present to her himself a glorious church, not having a spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that he should be holy and without blemish. So husbands